I pulled into my parents' driveway with an $18 fruit basket from the grocery store, balancing it on the passenger seat like it was worth more than it was. Parked right in front of the garage was Lydia's new BMW, silver with custom plates. The trunk was cracked open, stuffed with wrapped boxes the size of coolers. She was halfway down the walk when she spotted me. "Keeping it simple, Ethan," she said, flipping her hair back and not even pretending to hide the smile. I nodded once and got out, grabbing the basket. The plastic wrap crinkled loud in my hands, which felt about right. She didn't wait, just turned and headed in like she had a red carpet to roll out. Inside, the house smelled like turkey, butter, and that sweet cinnamon smell from Aunt Marla's marshmallow sweet potatoes. The kind of scent that makes you feel 8 years old and out of place all over again. I barely stepped through the door before the volume dipped. "Oh," Mom said, holding a wine glass. "Pleasantly surprised you made it." Like I flake, like I don't work holidays to avoid this exact performance. "Traffic was easy," I said, setting the fruit basket on the kitchen counter. Uncle Vernon had already started on the rye, judging by the way he swayed when he gave me the one-handed shoulder squeeze. "Still doing that online thing? Little side sales? Good hobby." "Yeah," I said, "doing fine." He nodded like he didn't hear me and went back to his glass. I slipped toward the living room and took the far end of the couch. The whole room was tuned to Lydia. Again. She was holding court near the fireplace, showing off her latest trophy. Some glass plaque from the neighborhood council, and a magazine spread that called her a community leader. "Now that's real success," Dad said, flipping through the pages like they were scripture. Owen and Kara slid onto the love seat across from me, arms linked. "You still in that tiny place near the train tracks?" Owen asked. "Yep," I said. "Smart," Aunt Marla chimed in from the dining room. "Cheap rent suits a light income." No one laughed. It wasn't a joke. I didn't argue either. That would have made it worse. Dad pointed Lydia toward the bar cart. "Show Ethan that thing you did for the Rotary." She smiled like a homecoming queen and grabbed another wrapped box from the trunk. Lydia laid her plaque next to the gravy boat like it belonged there. Everyone finally moved toward the dining room, where they had dragged out the long table that only sees daylight on Thanksgiving and Christmas. I got wedged in between my 14-year-old cousin Mason, who barely looked up from his phone, and Uncle Vernon, now nursing bourbon with a slice of orange in it like it was fancy. "Turkey for you, Ethan," Mom called from her end. "Or are you doing a budget diet?" "Turkey's fine," I said, loud enough to carry, quiet enough not to bite. She passed the tray down, smiling like it was just a joke. It landed in front of me with a soft thud. Across the table, Lydia launched into a story about her New Year's trip. "It's adults only, members only, up in Tahoe. Grant's company gets first dibs." "Climbing the ladder," Dad said, nodding. "That's how you build security, proven paths." Owen set down his glass, then turned toward me, like we were in a courtroom. "You remember that foreman job you had? That was solid. You walked away from it to consult online, right?" He hit the air quotes hard. The guy's a dentist, but talks like a CFO when he wants to feel bigger. "That was 8 years ago," I said, keeping my voice flat. 57, Dad added. "Time to get established. Lydia and Grant built a plan. They stuck to it. It's not too late to follow it." Grant reached for the mashed potatoes like a king reaching for his crown. "I could ask around at my firm. Maybe something administrative. It's honest work." There it was. The table turned into a panel, advice disguised as concern, pity stuffed into polite words. "Do you have a Roth set up?" Owen asked. "Is your online stuff sustainable?" Kara added. "I read most small digital businesses fail in the first few years." "I think it's time to be practical, Ethan," Mom said, lifting her wine. "Planning matters." Mason kept scrolling. Uncle Vernon elbowed me. "Hell, even Blackjack has a better success rate than most startups." I didn't flinch. I just carved into the turkey and took a bite. Not bad, a little dry. "I mean, there's dignity in a real job," Kara added, smiling like that would soften it. "Lydia and Grant have structure," Mom said again. "That's what people respect." "Nothing wrong with making a fresh start," Owen said. "No one asked what I actually did. No one asked if I needed anything. No one asked if I was happy." I chewed, swallowed, and kept my fork moving. Dad passed the basket of rolls without looking at me. "You're smart. We just don't want to see you waste that." Grant cleared his throat. There's always room for guys who know how to work with their hands. You're good with your hands, right? I looked at him, long enough for him to notice. Then I turned back to my plate and cut into the stuffing. The cranberries were store-bought. Kara always brings them. She thinks it counts. The pitch kept going. Retirement timelines, health insurance, a job with benefits. I sipped my water and let them talk. Their voices started to fade into the clink of silverware and that soft, fake holiday jazz coming from the kitchen speaker. The plates were still half full, some folks going for seconds, others already drifting toward the living room, like gravity worked different in there. I stood up to stretch my back and ended up by the archway near the hallway, sipping water, letting the warmth of the food settle. The TV was on low, muted for noise, not attention. Local station rolling through commercials, holiday specials, weather. Same channel Mom always had, playing for background cheer. Then I heard it, just loud enough over the room's hum. Tonight, an exclusive on a secretive industrial founder who built a global force from scratch. Ethan Ward of Redwood Infrastructure Holdings. The fork clinked out of Mom's hand and landed on a dessert plate she was clearing onto the coffee table, loud enough for heads to turn. Lydia let out this awkward little laugh, like a hiccup you try to make sound pretty. Another Ethan Ward. It's a common name. I didn't say a word. I kept still. Then the screen cut to a still shot. Me, in a dark suit, shaking hands with the Prime Minister of New Zealand. Right there, under the anchor's voice, in a bold caption. Ethan Ward, 57, founder and chair, Redwood Infrastructure Holdings. The room didn't just quiet down. It stopped. No chewing, no footsteps. Even the kid's phone screen dimmed. Owen's phone was already in his hand. He stared at the photo, blinked twice, then looked at me. "Come on," he muttered. But his mouth never closed. The voiceover kept rolling. After 5 years off the grid, Ward returned with a blueprint for a concrete alternative made from industrial demolition waste. His company built supply chains in 14 countries and quietly became a key player in infrastructure for public and private megaprojects. Uncle Vernon froze mid-sip. "That's some kind of prank?" he asked, not blinking. "No prank," I said. "News runs at 9. Kara looked like she couldn't decide whether to be impressed or betrayed. Mom sat down slowly on the edge of the recliner, one hand still hovering like she wasn't sure whether to pick up her glass or just hold on to something. Grant shifted his weight, adjusted his collar. His eyes were darting between me and the screen like he'd missed a step on the stairs. You didn't tell us," Lydia said, her voice tighter now. "You never asked," I said. Then I stepped away from the wall and headed toward the kitchen. "I'll grab more coffee." Nobody moved. The anchor teased the full special again, promising a deep dive on Redwood's sudden rise, global reach, and what they called the private genius behind it all. As I poured the coffee, the spoon rattled against the mug. My hands weren't shaking. The mug was cheap. Behind me, I heard Dad finally speak. "That's our Ethan?" But nobody answered him. I was halfway through my coffee when the knock came. 2 short raps, firm and clean. I didn't flinch. I just set the mug down and walked to the door. Standing outside were 2 people, late 20s maybe, neat, professional. The guy held a camera with a matte black shoulder rig. The woman had a clipboard and a discreet wireless mic pack on her belt. "Mr. Ward," the producer said, smiling like this was just a quick handshake. "We were hoping to capture some family B-roll for the special. Casual stuff, real setting." Dad had come up behind me. He stared at them like they were IRS agents. "You brought them?" he asked, voice low and tight. Mom walked into the hallway, hand pressed to her chest. "What is this?" "They're with the network," I said. "They just wanted a little home footage, nothing staged." Lydia was already whispering to Grant, her tone sharp and fast, words clipped and quiet. The producer clocked the energy shift instantly. She scanned the foyer, then glanced at me. 5 minutes, she said, voice gentle now. "Very casual, just shows you're grounded, human side." I shook my head. "Not tonight, they're processing." She didn't argue, just nodded, turned to the camera op, and gave a quick flick of her hand. He started packing up without a word. I liked that. No fuss, no begging. Dad pointed toward the driveway. "So you planned this? Them, here, like we're props. I told them we'd only film if it felt natural. This doesn't. Mom opened her mouth, closed it. Her hand was still pressed to her collarbone, like she needed to feel her heartbeat. Lydia stepped forward. We can't be filmed, not after all that. She didn't need to finish. Everybody in the house knew what all that meant. The mess with the HOA, the local press nonsense, Grant's audit issue that quietly vanished, the polished image she'd spent years curating in that tight little neighborhood circle. The producer zipped up her gear bag, polite and invisible now. We'll work with what we have. Thank you for your time, Mr. Ward. She was already out the door before anyone could chase her down. Grant muttered, there could have been heads up at least. Maybe if people had asked what I actually do, I said, you'd have had plenty of heads up. Dad was still planted in the hallway like a statue. You sat through dinner, let us all talk, and said nothing. Didn't seem like a discussion, I said. Felt more like a group project where I was the subject. Lydia crossed her arms. You let us embarrass ourselves. No, I said. You just weren't listening. I walked back toward the kitchen, calm and steady. Didn't slam a door, didn't raise my voice. The crew was gone within minutes. No lights, no booms, no chaos. Just two quiet professionals doing their job better than the whole table had done theirs. I rinsed my cup in the sink. The coffee had gone cold, but I held onto the mug anyway. I leaned against the mantel while they found the channel again. Owen sat forward like he was in church. Lydia had her arms locked across her stomach. Dad stared at the screen like it owed him money. The segment started quiet. Ambient music, drone footage over steel and snow. Our Ohio campus came into view, cranes moving between rows of block silos with the Redwood logo stamped big and bold. Then, Alberta, inside the lab. Folks in white coats running core samples through compression rigs. After that, a shipping yard in Busan, forklifts stacking pallets into shipping containers. The anchor's voice came in, smooth and polished. Redwood Infrastructure Holdings, a global industrial force. 31,000 employees, 3 continents. Estimated annual revenue, $6.4 billion. I didn't look around. I knew what faces I'd see. Jaw tight, mouth open, eyes wide. The camera cut to Priya Desai, my COO, sitting straight in a charcoal blazer. No fluff, never has time for it. We don't just talk green, she said. We build it. Recycled input, scalable production, labor share programs. Ethan never once said, maybe someday. He said, do it now. So we did. They rolled footage of me in a hard hat on a winter job site in Duluth, talking to a local mayor about hiring union trades first. Then a clip from a trade summit, me in front of a projector showing logistics lanes and choke points. I could hear Uncle Vernon's bourbon glass clink as he set it down gently on the coaster. The reporter walked through how we take concrete waste from demolition sites, reprocess it, and turn it into high-strength composite blocks that outlast standard forms by nearly a decade. Then came the asphalt additive. Our formula cuts repair costs by 40% and has held up through 5 hurricane seasons in the Gulf. Still no one spoke. They moved on to the Redwood Foundation, showed the education grants, the conservation partnerships, then that housing initiative, tiny homes and mid-size rentals near manufacturing hubs, all built by tradesmen we trained and hired. Last year alone, the foundation issued $420 million in direct community investment, the anchor said. Privately funded, no shareholders, no publicity campaigns. Cut to my old pickup. Then my apartment, the one near the rail line, with the sagging awning and dented mailbox. He's notoriously private, the anchor added. No public accounts, no speaking circuit. When we asked him to list Redwood's mission, he said, quote, don't waste materials, don't waste people, make the process better. That's all they use from me, fine by me. Mom dabbed at her eyes with a cloth napkin, didn't say a word. Kara shifted in her chair, suddenly interested in her watch. The camera swept one last time over the Ohio plant, silhouetted in snow, before fading out to the news desk. Owen leaned back like someone had punched him in the ribs. The channel rolled straight into the weather, but nobody moved to change it. No one reached for a glass. Nobody cleared a plate. I set the mug down on the mantel. That was enough. The weather was playing, but no one was watching. The silence sat heavy on the carpet, stretching wall to wall. You could hear the ice settle in drinks. Nobody reached for dessert. Then Mom pulled on a soft smile like it might fix the room. "Ethan, sweetheart," she said, voice low and hopeful, "we'd love to hear more about your business." I didn't answer right away. I let the quiet stretch again. Let her sit in it. 3 hours ago, I was an embarrassment, I said. Now I'm interesting. Dad cleared his throat. We were just concerned. We didn't know what was going on. But now we're proud. Of course we are. I nodded once. Yeah, that's how it goes with some folks. Concern to pride in one news segment. Lydia shifted forward on the couch, chin tilted like a prosecutor. You let us think you were small. No, I said. I didn't correct what no one bothered to ask about. Big difference. Grant folded his hands like he was prepping a pitch deck. Well, from a legal standpoint, there are probably some restructuring strategies that could optimize. I have counsel covered, I cut in. Big firm, global reach, don't need outside input. He sat back fast, jaw tight. Owen rubbed the back of his neck. So, what do you want now? Respect would have been nice, I said. Even neutral would have worked. A simple, how's it going, without the smirk. Kara opened her mouth, closed it again. Aunt Marla set down her wine glass carefully. Families help each other, Ethan. We always have. I looked at her, not angry, just tired. Help? When I was in the weeds building this, who asked how it was going? Who offered time, not money? Who asked one single honest question that didn't have a dig baked into it? No one answered. The thing is, I went on, you all had a script. Ethan's a dropout. Ethan's a consultant. Ethan lives by the train tracks. And no one ever checked if the story was still true. Mom wiped at her eye again, but didn't cry. You all made me small because it made you feel better, I said. I'm not mad. I just see it now. Dad leaned forward, elbows on knees. We were just afraid you'd fallen behind, that you'd missed your chance. I didn't fall behind, I said. I took a different road, one nobody here wanted to hear about. Lydia folded her arms. Well, maybe we thought you were hiding something. You think I had time to hide? I asked. I was working 16-hour days, building supplier networks, figuring out shipping lanes, hiring people who had bills to pay. I wasn't hiding. I was busy. The fireplace popped once behind me. It was the loudest sound in the room. Grant tried again, softer this time. You know, I do have contacts in the infrastructure space. If you ever want to talk expansion, we're expanding in Asia next quarter, I said. We've got it handled. Owen exhaled, hands clasped tight between his knees. You've really been doing all this without saying anything? You know what the worst part was? I said, looking at him. Wasn't the jokes, wasn't the judgment. It was when everybody took turns telling me how to fix my life, and not one of you stepped in to say, let the man be. They didn't even blink, because it was true, and they knew it. I didn't drag it out. I laid it out simple, straight down the middle of the table. I'm not a wallet, I said. Don't ask me for handouts. Don't ask me to bail anything out. If you want a relationship with me, it's got to be based on something other than numbers. Mom flinched like I'd slapped the table. I lost sleep, Ethan, she said, clutching her napkin. I thought you'd die broke. I pictured you cold and alone. I lived the same way last week, I cut in. Same apartment, same truck, same cheap coffee. The only thing that changed was your story about it. Her face dropped. She didn't argue. Lydia locked eyes with me. What about the future of our family? She asked. You're part of this too. Future depends on how people act going forward, I said. You talk to me like a man, not a project. We're fine. You keep treating me like something to fix. Not interested. Uncle Vernon shifted in his seat, glanced around like he was checking the room's temperature. Just out of curiosity, he said, slow and casual. Any opportunities at your company? Even contract stuff. We post everything publicly, I said, and we hire on merit. There's no back door, not for friends, not for family, no shortcuts. He nodded, but I could see the disappointment already settling in behind his eyes. Then I turned to Dad. You know what hit the hardest? I said. It wasn't the lectures, wasn't the condescension. It was that nobody, And I mean nobody stepped in when the pile-on started. He looked up surprised. I didn't know you wanted... I didn't want anything, I said. But it would have meant something if just one of you said, let the man be. Just once. No one spoke. Not Mom, not Owen, not Kara, not Marla. They all just looked down or away. I'm asking for space, I said. Not forever, just a break. Lydia scoffed. So you're cutting us off? No, I said. I'm resetting the line. You treat me with respect, you get it back. But I'm not walking into another room full of people who only look at me different because a news anchor told them to. Grant leaned forward. You can't expect us not to react. That's huge news. I don't expect anything, I said. That's the point. Mom finally spoke again. Her voice cracked. So what now? I live how I live, I said. Pickup stays. Apartment stays. Work stays private. If you're around, cool. If not, that's fine too. I stood up. My knees popped like they always do. Nothing had changed about me except their perception. I built something I'm proud of, I said. I didn't build it for applause, and I damn sure didn't build it so this room could finally think I matter. I picked up my coat off the chair. Not one of them moved to stop me. I grabbed my coat and walked out without another word. The cold slapped me the second I stepped off the porch. My phone lit up before I even hit the driver's seat. Calls, texts, missed alerts stacked like bricks. I shut off the ringtone and let the soft cab light wash over me while the engine warmed. I sat there a minute, let the steering wheel cool my hands. Then I called Drew. Big night, he said without hello. Segment landed huge. Phones are nuts. Site traffic just spiked. Midwest apprenticeships doubled since 8:40. Good, I said. That was the point. He paused. How'd it go in there? Handled, I said. I stared at the row of houses across the street, all neat lawns and light-up reindeer. Same type of block I grew up on. Same type that told you who mattered by the width of their driveway. Move forward on the county tech center, I said. No ribbon cutting, no names. It comes from the foundation. Copy that. And pull back Lydia's committee branding. They can apply for a grant like everyone else. Got it. Quiet or formal? Quiet, I said. No flame, just distance. I hung up and opened the messages I'd ignored. A long one from Kara, all careful words and guilt. 3 from Mom. Lydia sent 5, first cold, then warm. The last one just said, call me. I didn't. Instead, I forwarded one more instruction to our sponsorship director. Grant's favorite charity, the one where he likes to swing a mic and talk about scaling impact. I sent a note to the board. We're ending our sponsorship this cycle. No public statement, no drama, just done. The budget's already earmarked for trade school scholarships. Students with no suits, no boards, no ego. I didn't torch the bridge. I just rerouted the river. That was enough. Small move maybe, not flashy, but it felt right in my bones. I pulled out of the neighborhood slow, headlights washing over lawns and snow piles. Nobody saw me go. No send-off, no second chance pitch from the porch, just taillights and silence. The highway opened up fast, wide and black, with just a scatter of snow catching in the headlights. No traffic, just me and the hum of the tires, steady as breath. I passed rows of quiet houses, yellow-lit windows, and curled smoke drifting from chimneys. The kind of places where people played cards in fleece pajamas and argued over pie instead of pride. That used to be the picture I held on to. Now, it didn't pull so hard. At a red light on Road 8, I checked my phone. The screen lit up like a confession booth. Mom, I love you. Please forgive me. Owen. I was wrong. Lydia sent a wall of texts. Started with cold lines, ended with, I didn't know, I'm sorry. Grant's message read like a press release. He even bolded the word, collaborate. I don't hold grudges well, but I don't forget either. At 57, you learn the middle path. You don't slam the door. You don't swing it wide. You crack it, and you watch who walks in right. Back at my place, I kicked off my boots and made coffee. Nothing fancy, just hot, black, quiet. I opened my laptop and went to work, signed the tech center endowment, approved the trades housing program near the new plant, clean, affordable, local labor first. Updated my will, modest sums to family, the rest to the foundation. No family name on it, just redwood, just purpose. Then, I opened my calendar and set a reminder for next December. Send an $18 fruit basket to mom and dad. Same grocery store, same card, no message. People remember lessons when they arrive quiet. I shut the laptop and finished my coffee. I slept like stone. By morning, I had a rail deal to review, a plant report to comb through, a call with Doris, my Duluth superintendent, who runs tighter operations than half the Ivy grads I've fired. I'd keep the pickup, keep the apartment, keep the noise low and the rules simple. Respect first, money last. The rest finds its level.